Have you ever felt that strange feeling that something important is trying to reach you? Not through a phone call. Not through a text message. Not through a notification. But through the events of your life itself. Today, I want you to imagine something. Imagine that a letter has been prepared for you. A letter with your name on it. A letter carrying a message that could change the way you see your past, your present, and your future. Most people spend their entire lives searching for answers while ignoring the signs that are already around them. And that is why this message is important. Because the greatest dangers in life are not always the dangers we can see. Sometimes the greatest danger is missing what we were meant to understand. Sometimes the greatest danger is walking away from wisdom when it is standing directly in front of us. There are people listening right now who have been carrying burdens for years. People who smile in public but cry in private. People who look strong on the outside while fighting battles nobody knows about. People who have asked the same question over and over again. Why is this happening to me? Why am I still waiting? Why do I feel stuck? And if that sounds familiar, then listen carefully. Because the letter we are talking about today contains an answer many people never discover. The first line of this letter says, "You are not where you think you are." Think about that for a moment. Most people believe they understand their situation. They believe they know exactly what is happening. But what if the struggle you call a setback is actually preparation? What if the delay you call rejection is actually protection? What if the closed door that frustrated you was the very thing that prevented disaster? Suddenly everything changes. The letter continues. It says, "You have been measuring your life by what you can see." And that is a mistake almost everyone makes. We judge our future by today's circumstances. We judge our potential by current limitations. We judge tomorrow by yesterday. But the most extraordinary changes often begin invisibly. A tree grows underground before it appears above the surface. A sunrise begins before the first ray becomes visible. A breakthrough starts before anyone can recognize it. That means something important. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean movement is not happening. Just because you cannot see progress does not mean progress is absent. And just because you cannot see the answer does not mean the answer does not exist. Now imagine opening the second page of the letter. This page contains a warning. Not a warning meant to create fear. A warning meant to create awareness. The letter says, "Stop giving your attention to voices that weaken your faith." How many opportunities have been destroyed because someone listened to the wrong voice? How many dreams have disappeared because someone believed the wrong opinion? How many futures have been abandoned because someone accepted a limitation that was never true? The world is full of voices. Voices of doubt. Voices of negativity. Voices of discouragement. Voices that constantly remind people of what can go wrong. But very few voices remind people of what can go right. Very few voices remind people that possibilities still exist. Very few voices remind people that difficult seasons do not last forever. The letter says something remarkable next. It says, "Your greatest battle is not around you. It is within you." Think about that. Many people spend years trying to change external circumstances. But the real transformation begins internally. The moment a person changes their thinking, their life begins changing direction. The moment a person develops courage, fear loses power. The moment a person chooses hope, darkness begins losing its grip. That is why this message matters. Because the letter is not merely revealing information. It is revealing perspective. And perspective changes everything. Now the third page appears. This page contains a revelation. The letter says, "You survived things that were supposed to break you." Read that again. You survived things that were supposed to break you. There were moments when you thought you wouldn't make it. Moments when the pressure felt unbearable. Moments when the uncertainty seemed endless. Yet here you are. Still standing. Still moving. Still searching. Still believing. That is not weakness. That is evidence of strength. Many people underestimate themselves because they focus only on what remains unfinished. They forget to look at what they have already overcome. They forget the storms they survived. They forget the mountains they climbed. They forget the victories they achieved. The letter reminds you to remember. Because remembrance creates confidence. And confidence creates momentum. As we continue reading, the message becomes even more powerful. The next paragraph says, "There is a difference between waiting and being prepared." This is where many people become frustrated. They believe waiting is punishment. But sometimes waiting is preparation. A musician prepares before the performance. An athlete prepares before the competition. A builder prepares before construction. Preparation always comes before manifestation. And perhaps the season you are experiencing right now is not a season of denial. Perhaps it is a season of development. A season of growth. A season of strengthening. A season of preparation. The letter continues. It says, "Do not confuse silence with absence." This sentence changes everything. Because many people assume that silence means nothing is happening. But silence can mean many things. A seed grows silently. The night transitions into morning silently. The strongest foundations are often built silently. Not every important process announces itself. Some of the most powerful transformations happen quietly. And perhaps that is exactly what is happening in your life. The next page contains something unexpected. A question. The letter asks, "What would you attempt if fear no longer controlled you?" Pause and think about that. What dream would you pursue? What goal would you chase? What decision would you make? What opportunity would you embrace? Fear has stopped more dreams than failure ever has. Fear convinces people not to begin. Fear convinces people to remain where they are. Fear convinces people to settle. But the letter challenges that mindset. It challenges the belief that limitations are permanent. Because many limitations exist only in perception. And perception can change. The message grows deeper. The letter now says, "Stop waiting for permission to become who you were meant to be." Powerful words. Because many people spend years waiting for approval. Waiting for validation. Waiting for recognition. waiting for somebody else to tell them they are capable. But confidence does not come from permission. Confidence comes from action. Confidence comes from movement. Confidence comes from deciding that you will continue forward even when certainty is unavailable. The next section of the letter reveals something extraordinary. It says, "Your future is being shaped by the decisions you make today. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Today. Every thought matters. Every habit matters. Every choice matters. Because small decisions create large outcomes. A single decision can change an entire direction. A single choice can alter an entire future. That is why the letter urges urgency. Not panic. Not fear. Urgency. The urgency to grow. The urgency to learn. The urgency to become better than yesterday. And now we arrive at perhaps the most important part of the letter. The final pages. The pages many people never reach because they stop too soon. These pages contain a truth that has transformed countless lives. The truth is simple. The letter says, the story is not over. No matter what happened yesterday. The story is not over. No matter how many mistakes were made. The story is not over. No matter how difficult the season became. The story is not over. No matter how impossible things appear right now. The story is not over. As long as there is another day ahead of you, another chapter can be written. Another opportunity can appear. Another breakthrough can arrive. Another victory can emerge. And that changes everything. Because hopelessness loses power when people remember the story is not finished. The letter closes with one final statement. A statement that echoes long after the last page has been read. It says, "Walk forward with courage. Walk forward with faith. Walk forward with wisdom. The future cannot be reached by standing still." And there it is. The message hidden within the letter. The real danger was never the letter itself. The real danger was ignoring the lessons inside it. Ignoring growth. Ignoring wisdom. Ignoring purpose. Ignoring opportunity. Ignoring hope. Those are the dangers that quietly steal futures. But today you heard the message. Today you opened the letter. Today you discovered what many people never discover. That strength is greater than fear. That preparation is happening even when progress seems invisible. That your story still contains unwritten chapters. And that the future remains open before you. The letter is finished. But your journey is not. In fact, it may only be beginning. The letter seemed finished. The final page had been read. The message appeared complete. But then something unexpected happened. A hidden section revealed itself. Almost as if another envelope had been tucked inside the first one. And what was written there was far more personal. Far more direct. Far more urgent. The hidden page began with these words. If you are hearing this now, you are standing at a crossroads. Not tomorrow. Not next month. Now. Most people imagine crossroads as dramatic moments. Huge decisions. Life-changing events. But often the most important crossroads are invisible. A crossroads can be a thought, a habit, a reaction, a choice nobody else sees. Every day people move closer to their future or farther away from it through decisions that seem small at the time. That is why this hidden message exists. Because there are moments when one decision creates a chain reaction that changes everything. The letter continued. It said, "You have been paying attention to the wrong evidence." That sentence stopped many people in their tracks. Because most individuals build their expectations from visible circumstances. They look at current problems, current limitations, current disappointments. Then they assume the future must look the same. But the hidden letter challenges that belief. It asks, what if today's reality is not the final reality? What if what you see is temporary? What if the situation you fear most is already beginning to change? Think carefully. Every major transformation in history seemed impossible before it happened. Every breakthrough looked unlikely before it became reality. Every victory appeared distant before it arrived. The hidden page then revealed something surprising. It said, "Stop treating temporary seasons as permanent identities." Many people do this without realizing it. A difficult season becomes their identity. A mistake becomes their identity. A failure becomes their identity. A setback becomes their identity. But a season is not who you are. A challenge is not who you are. A problem is not who you are. The storm may describe your current environment. It does not define your value. The letter wanted that truth understood clearly. Because people trapped by labels often forget their potential. And forgotten potential is one of life's greatest losses. The next paragraph carried a warning. The warning was simple, yet powerful. The letter said, "Be careful what you repeatedly tell yourself." Why? Because repeated thoughts become beliefs. Beliefs influence actions. Actions shape outcomes. Many people unknowingly create prisons with their own words. They constantly repeat, "I can't. I won't. It's impossible. Nothing will change." And eventually they begin living inside those statements. The hidden message challenges that pattern. It says, "Speak with wisdom. Think with intention. Protect your mindset. Because your inner conversation affects your outer reality more than you realize." Then came a section that felt almost mysterious. The letter said, "There are opportunities approaching that cannot be recognized by distracted people." That statement deserves attention. Because distraction has become one of the greatest obstacles of modern life. Many people are so busy reacting that they never notice what is arriving. So busy worrying that they miss possibilities. So busy looking backward that they fail to recognize doors opening ahead. The hidden page warns against this. It encourages awareness, presence, attention. Because sometimes opportunities arrive quietly. Not with noise. Not with announcements. Not with guarantees. But they arrive. And those who are paying attention see them first. The next page carried another revelation. It said, The strongest version of you is still being developed. Think about that. The strongest version of you may not be the person you were yesterday. It may not even be the person you are today. Growth is ongoing. Strength is developing. Wisdom is increasing. Experience is teaching. And every challenge is adding another layer to who you are becoming. Many people become discouraged because they focus only on how far they still have to go. The letter encourages a different perspective. Notice how far you have already come. Notice what you have learned. Notice what you have survived. Notice how much stronger you are than before. Progress becomes visible when comparison stops and reflection begins. Then the hidden section shifted direction. The words became more personal. More direct. The letter said, "You have underestimated your influence." This surprised many readers. Because they viewed themselves as ordinary, insignificant, replaceable. Yet every person influences someone. Every action creates impact. Every choice affects more than one life. The encouragement you offer. The kindness you show. The example you set. The courage you display. These things travel farther than you realize. Sometimes the impact of a single moment is discovered years later. The letter wanted readers to remember that. Because purpose often hides inside ordinary actions. And now came the section nobody expected. The hidden page revealed what it called the Great Distraction. The message said, "The enemy of your future is not always failure. Sometimes it is comfort." That idea challenged many assumptions. People prepare themselves for obstacles. They prepare themselves for opposition. They prepare themselves for setbacks. But comfort can be more dangerous than all of them. Why? Because comfort whispers. Stay where you are. Do not grow. Do not risk. Do not change. Remain exactly the same. And little by little potential begins to disappear. The letter warns against becoming comfortable with limitations. Because growth requires movement. And movement requires courage. The message continued. It said, "Your next chapter requires a different version of you." Powerful words. Because new opportunities require new thinking. New results require new habits. New destinations require new decisions. The person who reaches tomorrow's possibilities cannot always think exactly like yesterday's version of themselves. Growth requires evolution. Not losing yourself. Improving yourself. Refining yourself. Strengthening yourself. The hidden letter then presented a challenge. A challenge meant for every listener. It asked, what would happen if you committed fully to your purpose? Not halfway. Not occasionally. Fully. What would happen if you gave your best effort consistently? What would happen if excuses disappeared? What would happen if fear lost its authority? What would happen if doubt stopped making decisions? The answers to those questions could transform a life. Because potential expands when commitment increases. Then came another extraordinary statement. The letter said, many of the answers you seek are hidden inside the actions you keep postponing. Think about that. How many people wait for confidence before taking action, when often confidence comes after action? How many people wait for certainty before moving, when often certainty appears during movement? The hidden page encourages forward motion, because momentum creates clarity, and clarity creates progress. The final section of the hidden letter felt different, almost as though the writer wanted every word remembered. It said, "There will always be reasons to quit, reasons to stop, reasons to settle, reasons to delay, reasons to doubt, reasons to fear. But there are also reasons to continue, reasons to believe, reasons to persevere, reasons to grow, reasons to hope. And the direction of your future often depends on which reasons you choose to focus on." Then one final paragraph appeared. The paragraph that completed the hidden message. It said, "One day you will look back and realize that the season you thought was holding you back was actually preparing you to move forward." A remarkable thought. Because many things only make sense in hindsight. Many lessons become clear later. Many answers arrive after the questions. Many blessings become visible after the waiting. And perhaps one day the struggles that seem confusing now will reveal a purpose you cannot yet see. The hidden letter ended with these words. Keep moving. Keep learning. Keep believing. Keep growing. The future belongs to those who refuse to surrender their hope. And with that, the second letter came to an end. But one mystery remained unanswered. A mystery hidden between the lines. A mystery connected to a door that many people walk past every day without realizing its importance. And in the next part, that door will finally be revealed. The hidden letter was over. The final sentence had been read. Yet something still felt unfinished. There was one mystery left. One question hanging in the air. What was the door mentioned at the end of the message? Why was it so important? And why do so many people walk past it without ever realizing what it represents? The answer was found inside a final envelope. An envelope marked with only 3 words. Open with wisdom. Inside was a single page. No decoration. No signature. Just a message. And the first line immediately captured attention. It said, "The door you seek has been in front of you longer than you realize." Most people expected the door to be a person, or a place, or an opportunity. But the letter revealed something entirely different. The door was perspective. The ability to see beyond the immediate moment. The ability to recognize possibilities where others see limitations. The ability to believe that today's circumstances are not the final chapter. This was the door. And it changes everything. Because 2 people can experience the same situation and reach completely different conclusions. One sees defeat. The other sees a lesson. One sees an ending. The other sees a beginning. One sees darkness. The other sees an opportunity to create light. Perspective determines direction. And direction determines destination. The final letter continued. It said, "Many people spend years waiting for a miracle while ignoring the opportunities already surrounding them." Think about that. How often do people overlook what they already have because they are focused on what they do not have? How often do they underestimate their abilities? How often do they forget their strengths? How often do they ignore open doors because they are staring at closed ones? The letter wanted readers to understand something powerful. Gratitude and awareness often reveal opportunities that frustration and fear keep hidden. Then came a statement that felt almost like a wake-up call. The message said, "Stop searching for proof that life is against you." That line hit hard. Because many people unconsciously collect evidence for their fears. They remember failures. They replay disappointments. They focus on mistakes. And little by little they convince themselves that nothing good is ahead. But the letter challenges that mindset. It asks, what if you searched for evidence of possibility instead? What if you focused on growth? What if you noticed progress? What if you recognize the victories that already exist in your life? The answers change everything. Because what you consistently focus on expands in importance. The next section of the letter became deeply personal. It said, "You have survived 100% of your hardest days." A simple truth. Yet an extraordinary one. Every difficult day. Every painful season. Every moment of uncertainty. Every challenge. Every setback. You made it through all of them. You are still here. And that fact alone contains a message. You are stronger than many of the fears trying to intimidate you. You are more capable than many of the doubts trying to limit you. You are more resilient than many of the obstacles trying to stop you. The final envelope wanted that remembered. Because people often forget their own strength. The letter continued. It said, "There is a future version of you that is depending on the decisions you make today. Imagine meeting that future version of yourself. What would they thank you for? What habits would they be grateful you started? What fears would they be grateful you overcame? What opportunities would they be grateful you pursued?" The future is not created all at once. It is created decision by decision. Choice by choice. Day by day. And that means today's actions matter more than most people realize. Then the message shifted once again. This time it addressed something many people secretly struggle with. Regret. The letter said, "Do not spend so much time looking behind you that you miss what is ahead." Powerful words. Because regret can become a trap. People replay old mistakes, old failures, old disappointments, old losses. And while they are looking backward, life continues moving forward. The letter acknowledges the past. But it refuses to live there. Lessons belong in the future. Not chains. Growth belongs in the future. Not guilt. Wisdom belongs in the future. Not endless regret. The message then revealed what it called the great secret. Not a secret hidden from people. A secret hidden in plain sight. The letter said, "The quality of your future depends largely on the quality of your daily choices." Simple. Yet profound. Most people want extraordinary results. But extraordinary results often come from ordinary actions repeated consistently. A small step taken every day becomes a long journey. A small improvement repeated every day becomes transformation. A small act of discipline repeated every day becomes success. The secret is consistency. The secret is persistence. The secret is refusing to quit. Then came the most emotional part of the entire message. The final letter said, "There were moments when you felt forgotten. Moments when answers seemed distant. Moments when hope felt fragile. Moments when the future seemed unclear. Moments when giving up looked easier than continuing. But you continued. You kept moving. You kept trying. You kept believing. And that matters. Because perseverance creates possibilities that quitting can never discover." The final page now approached. The last words. The last message. The last lesson. The letter said, "Do not allow temporary emotions to make permanent decisions." A powerful reminder. Fear passes. Frustration passes. Confusion passes. Disappointment passes. But decisions often remain. That is why wisdom matters. That is why patience matters. That is why perspective matters. And that is why the letter was written. To remind you that your current moment is not your entire story. To remind you that growth is still possible. To remind you that purpose still exists. To remind you that hope still has power. The final paragraph appeared. The paragraph that completed everything. The letter said, "Walk into the future with courage. Learn from the past without living in it. Focus on what can be built instead of what was broken. Continue moving forward. Continue growing. Continue believing. The chapters ahead have not been written yet." And with those words, the final envelope was complete. The shocking letter had revealed its true message. Not fear. Not doom. Not destruction. But awareness. Wisdom. Growth. Perspective. Purpose. And the understanding that the greatest danger was never skipping a message. The greatest danger was living without recognizing the opportunities, lessons, and possibilities already placed in front of you. The letter is now closed. But your story remains open. And the next chapter begins with the choices you make today.